Hi, my name's Terry. I wanted to share testimony of something that happened to me 22 years ago. 22 years ago, I had been married at that time 5 years, and I was having problems, marital problems, and I was getting a divorce. I was separated from my husband. When we got married, he had two daughters, and I had a son that was 1 year old at the time, and his children were 3 and 4. So this is 5 years later. I'm at the point where I'm very discouraged. I'm depressed. I feel unappreciated. And I just keep thinking, oh, this guy just married me so that I could be his babysitter. He doesn't even love me, and he doesn't show me support. I don't know. I was just going through all kinds of things. Anyways, I filed for a divorce. I was going to night school to become a dental assistant. I was living with my parents, and that evening, I believe it was a Thursday evening, my mother and my 3 children picked me up, and we went to church. I was still in my uniform, and we went to church, and we're having worship. Everyone's standing around having worship, and I begin to look around at all the families around me, and I start thinking to myself, wow, why can't I have this? Why can't I have a husband with my family in church, worshiping God and just getting along? And, you know, I was actually jealous of all these people around me. And once we sat down, the pastor started preaching. I heard a man, it sounded like if he leaned right in by my head, and he says, "You have a husband, go home to him." And immediately I turned around. I'm like, who said that? And there was no one behind me. And instantaneously, all my emotions changed. I hated my husband. I was angry at him. I couldn't wait to get a divorce. He would call me, and I would hang up on him, and I would tell him, I don't love you anymore. Don't call me. Just leave me alone. Well, instantaneously, after I heard those words, my heart and my mind just switched. All of a sudden, I had all these emotions of love for my husband, and I could not wait for service to be over. And I just started crying. My mom looked at me like, "What's wrong with you?" Anyways, after service, I rushed to the car with my mom and the kids, and I told her, "Mom, something happened to me." I said, "I heard God speak to me." I said, "I don't know if it was an angel or if it was the Lord himself, but someone spoke to me." I said, and he said, "You have a husband, go home to him." And as soon as I heard that, my heart just like melted with love for my husband. And back then I didn't have a cell phone, so as soon as we got home, I called him from the home phone. I said, "Roger, something happened to me in church." I said, "I want to come home. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Can I come home?" And of course he said yes. And he came, him and the kids, they came, they picked us up. And I've been married ever since. And like I said, that was 22 years ago, and we're happily married. I just wanted to share my testimony because I've heard a lot of ministers say, God does not speak in an audible voice. Now, that's not true. I'm not saying he's going to speak to everyone in an audible voice, but he has spoken to me twice. That was the first time, but I'll share the other one at another time. But I just want to encourage people that God does speak to us. Sometimes in an audible voice and sometimes in an inner voice. You just have a knowing that it was him. Out of the blue, you'll get this thought. You're like, wow, where did that come from? And you'll know, wow, that was from the Lord, because it's such a good idea, you know? But I just wanted to encourage people that God does speak to us, whether in an audible voice or whether in an inner voice, but he does speak to us, and he is concerned for our lives. Even when we feel like we're alone, a lot of times, even to this day, there's a struggle when you're a Christian. There's a struggle even when you're not a Christian. Just our everyday life, we struggle. But I just want to encourage people that whenever I feel discouraged, or I hear someone say, God does not speak to you in an audible voice, or how do you know God's real? I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. God spoke to me in an audible voice, and I'm not a crazy person. I don't go around hearing voices all the time. And I know God changed my life. He changed my marriage. He healed it. And I know that God is real. So I just hope that that encourages someone today, that God is a very present help in the time of need. Just call out to him and he will help you. Give him the time of day. The word says, draw near to me and I will draw near to you. I hope and pray that this helps someone today. Thank you for listening.